Okay, welcome. In this lesson we'll be learning how to draw the pivot stand for the catapult, and we will also be learning how to make a drawing of the pivot stand. I'll teach you how to make a template of the drawing, and you can use this template to make drawings of the rest of the parts. So the task of making drawings for all the parts in this camp isn't as daunting as it may seem. So let's start by making the pivot stand. So I'll use my part meters template from before, and I'm just going to start sketching on the top plane. This is all stuff you should be familiar with. I'm going to use the rectangle, center rectangle command. I'm going to make these two lines equal so that I get a square before I dimension the line to 5.5 meters. And now that's pretty much my simple sketch, so I'm going to extrude that 3.5 meters. And I'm going to hit the F key to look at that. On this surface, I'm going to start a new sketch. I'm going to go normal to. I'm going to draw a circle that's directly above the origin. And I'm going to dimension that hole to a diameter of 0.25 meters. Dimension it from the top at 0.5 meters. And now I want this hole to be right in the center, so I'm going to come down here and hold the control key down and select the origin as well, and then I'm going to select vertical, and you can see that centers the circle. And now I'm just going to extrude cut through that, through all. And I always like to go to an isometric view or trimetric view to see what I did. So we're going to sketch on this surface now, and it's the same thing, except the hole's a little different and it's in a different place. So let's 0.125 is this diameter, and we're dimensioning this one from the bottom at a distance of 2 meters. And again, I need to center it, so I'm going to select the center of the circle and the origin and select vertical. And I'm going to extrude cut through all. And there's my pivot stand. So I'm going to say File, Save As, and I'm going to go to the place where I'm saving, and I'm going to save it as stand. Okay, now I want to make a drawing of this part with dimensions and everything, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say make new drawing from part/assembly, and then I'm just going to choose this default drawing here that's in the ANSI. It'll bring up the ANSI selections that you can make. Now we're just going to draw on a standard A size, which is 8.5 by 11 landscape. So I'm just going to choose the very first one. I'm going to change it a little bit anyway. And then I'm going to bring in, see how it launches the view palette immediately. So I'm going to bring in the front view, and then it's automatically going to want to give me a side view, and that's okay. Now you can also insert again from up here, drawing view, model, and select the stand again. I'm going to put an isometric view in, and I don't really like this circle crosshairs because it's obvious they're circles. What I'm going to do to make it more obvious is actually show hidden lines. So now I want this one to show hidden lines too. Okay, so you notice that there's some stuff we need to fill out here. The drawing number is clearly the file name. It's automatically filled in. You can go over here, and actually this would automatically be filled in if we had put in the necessary information when we saved our pivot stand part. Now the rest of this is actually manually put in, and it's normally part of the template. So we're going to get to that in a second. But first what we're going to do, we're going to come over here and we're going to open up our part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit File, Save As, and then down here in the Save box I'm going to click here where Add a Description is, and I'm going to say Catapult Pivot Stand. And yes, I want to replace it. So now I can go back to my drawing and notice that the description is here. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit in the box provided for it, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the drawing somewhere, not in a view but on a blank part of the drawing, and we're going to choose Edit Sheet Format. Then we're going to double click this, and we're going to reshape the size of the text box so that it fits our needs, and then we just kind of drag it up. Now for this, we usually fill this out. If you're in an engineering firm, you would put your initials here. So I'm going to put Greg, or let's just say GP, and then you would put the date. So month, day, year typically, and then checked. Since I'm going to actually be checking your drawing, you will be putting in my initials, or whoever the initials are of the person who is checking your homework, and then the date will be your due date. Now we can fill in tolerancing and everything, right, but we don't have that information yet. You haven't really learned about tolerancing, so of course you can also fill in the comments. Material, I know it's actually going to be a wood, and for finish, let's just say, if I can find let's just say sanded smooth, and I'm going to move that over so it fits, and I'm going to hit F so I can see the whole thing. Now what these over here are what assemblies it's used on. You can actually use that later and really organize your drawing so that it's obvious which assembly they go with, but we'll get to that later maybe. Now we want to, you can either hit this icon here to get back into the sheet, or you can right click and go to Edit Sheet again, and then you're back into the drawing. And we still need dimensions on our drawing, so we're going to go over to the Smart Dimension tool, and it's also located on Annotation. So we need a dimension for this hole from the bottom. I'll see. Now I'm not in the right unit, so I haven't changed that yet. So I'm going to go to MKS. Now I can dimension it in meters. Have enough room between the drawings, so I want to give myself some space. I want to dimension the circle, and you just choose the perimeter of the circle. So now I have all my features dimensioned, but I have all these extra zeros and stuff in some of them. Some of them I need the extra places, but I don't need them in these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select them and let this quick menu come up, and I'm going to change it to the one that makes sense. And that will help me clean up my drawing a little bit so my dimensions don't take up so much space. Now, when we're drawing the rest of our parts, we want to be able to use this template to draw them as well, so that we don't have to do all this stuff again. We don't have to fix the description box. We don't have to type all this stuff again. We don't have to type the material and the finish again. So what I want to do is, first I want to save my drawing. I'm just going to save it, and it's going to go automatically go into the same folder as my part, and that's fine. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to hit File, Save As, and I'm going to hit Drawing Templates. And you can see I already have a Greg Meters in there from when I was practicing earlier, but I'm going to name this one EG underscore meters. And then it gives you this warning. That's why I saved the drawing first, so that we wouldn't lose anything. And you hit OK, and you can see it turns this document into a drawing template. Now what you want to do is hit File, Save As, Drawing Template, and then choose your USB stick wherever you want to save it, so that you can save it next time, because if we save it on our hard drive, it gets wiped. So you want to save it on your USB stick as well, so that you can use it later. So now, if I have my part, I can click New, Make Drawing from Part Assembly, and you can see my EG Meters drawing is already there. And bam, everything is there already. The description is in the right format. The dates are all there. All I gotta do is just fill in the due date, and material finish is there. All we gotta do is dimension the part again, which shouldn't take very long at all compared to editing the whole sheet. Okay, so that completes this lesson. Thank you for your time.